You're watching The 7 from WATE 6 on your side.
Good evening, I'm Bo Williams and welcome to The 7. Let's get a look at the big 7 stories happening right now. And topping the list for us tonight, one teenager shot, one arrested. This not far from an area high school. One of those boys was taken to the hospital. That shooting happening on Sulphur Springs Road across from Morristown West High. The Morristown Police Department saying that schools and child care agencies in the area were put on lockdown. Now, police say both the suspect and the victim are 17-year-old boys. The suspect is in custody. According to police, both were students of the Hamblen County school system. MPD pointing out that the shooting did not happen on school property, and that's important to point out. As for the victim, we know he was taken to UT Medical Center, but police do not know his condition right now. Of course, we'll be following this investigation for you. Our next Big 7 story, less than an hour left to cast a ballot in Knoxville's general election. Voters have until 8 o'clock to cast ballots for City Council District 5, at-large seats A, B, and C, and municipal court judge. Turnout in the primary was down a bit compared to the city primary in 2019, with 16,648 votes this year, compared to more than 19,300 back then. But last month, at the start of early voting, County Election Administrator Chris Davis told us he was pleased with ballot totals for the first day. But even if a relatively small slice of the city's registered voters take part, people we spoke with at the polls today highlighted how important it is to exercise the right.
If we didn't have the right to vote and didn't vote, then it would be up to a few that would run this country. But because they are elected by the populace of the people, then we have a control as to who runs this country.
Notably, Knoxville Mayor India Kincannon is not on the ballot tonight. Her share of the primary vote was enough to earn an outright win back in August with no need for a general election. The landscape also changing in early September with the death of Cameron Brooks. The longtime Democratic Party activist had been headed to the general election as a candidate for City Council at-large seat A, leaving Lynn Fugate as the only choice on the ballot in that race. Also unopposed on today's ballot, incumbent City Council member Charles Thomas representing District 5. He went through the primary with no challenger. Time, by the way, still remains for you to get out and vote. As we mentioned, the polls close at 8 o'clock. You need to be a city resident. Keep that in mind, not county, but city. And you'll be able to vote as long as you are in line before that 8 o'clock deadline. Now, remember, you'll need a photo ID, like a Tennessee driver's license, or a photo ID issued by the state or federal government, which are acceptable even if they're expired. Now, college student IDs are not allowed. Also, unlike early voting, today is a time you have to vote at your assigned precinct. And we'll start gathering the results as soon as they are posted online, and we'll bring you results scrolling at the bottom of your screen at WAT.com, and a full recap tonight at 11 o'clock. Back to our Big 7 at 7 list with a big break in a cold case. You know, the last time we told you about this, a detective described it to us as not just a cold case, but one that was in the freezer. That was more than 12 years ago. The murder going back to 1977, the oldest cold case in the Maryville Police Department. But it all changes today with the indictment of the man you see behind me right now, Michael Fine, an 80-year-old living in Birmingham, Alabama, who is now accused in the deaths of his parents. Maryville police revealing today a grand jury had returned 2 indictments of criminal homicide against Fine in the shooting deaths of Helen and Maynard Fine. Now, the couple's bodies found in their home on Everett Avenue. This was back on May 20th. 1977. Autopsy results showed they died of gunshot wounds. Police say they reopened the case in May of 2021. It's still not clear what exactly prompted the reopening or what brought about the indictment. We're hoping to learn more tomorrow during a news conference that Maryville police are scheduling for 9 in the morning. A body found in Greene County over the weekend has now been identified. Hunters were on some property and came across the body of a woman. The remains sent to ETSU's Forensic Center for a cause of death. While the cause is still unknown, today the woman has been identified as 27-year-old Lakeisha Bracey from Chesterfield, Virginia. Bracey had been reported missing by family members to Virginia police. Now we'll continue to update you as we learn more. Moving through our big story list for you right now, friends and family remembering a 20-year-old East Tennessee man killed in a crash while riding his motorcycle last week. Jordan Ball was driving along Parkside Drive at Sherway Road on Friday afternoon when the fatal crash happened. Ball was a Knoxville native who had a passion for cars and riding his motorcycle. His dad says He had just gotten a new job and couldn't wait to start. His mom, Karen, says they've seen an outpouring of support from people who knew him.
To hear what people had to say about him and to see so many people say, oh man, Jordan was the best. He was the goofiest thing. He made everybody laugh. He was the light in somebody's darkness.
Funeral arrangements, by the way, have not yet been made. Our next big story for you, a new effort by one of the nicest people around, Yassin, owner of Yassin's Falafel House. You know, just a few months ago, Yassin traveled to Turkey to help first responders with relief work after an earthquake devastated that region. Now he's finding new ways to help Knoxville's homeless community. Just the other day, Yassin decided to go to the bridge on North Broadway with a sign that said that he would pay each person $1 for each bag that they brought him full of trash. He said not everyone was willing to do the work, but for one person who was, he offered her a job.
I'm trying to get these people who have the ability to work to have the idea, oh, I need to do something to get the money instead just for asking for it.
Yassin says he wants to give those who are less fortunate a chance because when he was struggling, people gave him a chance. One East Tennessee high school baseball team in some hot water after an investigation into the team's finances. According to a report from the Tennessee Comptroller, Karns High School baseball team is facing 4 deficiencies. They include using school grounds for a summer league without permission from KCS, spending with a negative team bank account, multiple payments in cash without a paper trail, and not depositing concession stand funds within 3 days of collection. The investigation used selected records from July 2020 to August 2022. In response, Knox County Schools said they have or intend to correct those deficiencies.